Greetings, YouTube. You will frequently see on the internet when people will say things, I want to hear your unpopular opinions and things like that. Then when people will talk about their unpopular opinions, usually anonymously because they don't want those unpopular opinions linked to them because those opinions are unpopular. But I'm about to discuss one of my unpopular opinions, one that's got me some crap here on my channel in the past. It's probably going to get me some now. And that deals with hierarchies. Now, I understand that in certain circles, the word hierarchy is an invective. It is a pejorative. It is a swear word. That very concept of a hierarchy is anathema to that person's entire personal and political, ethical, and moral world view. Just they cannot tolerate them. And for example, when I hear the word anarchy, I don't think anarchists. I think anarchy, chaos. That's the first thing I think of. And then I think of anarchists second. And the anarchists never have the answers that I want to the questions. And I'm about to tell you why they don't have the answers to the questions. So I'm poking around here on Tumblr while I'm listening to John play video games over on Many a True Nerd. And it says, people organize themselves without states for 97.47% of human history and 99.89% without police forces. They aren't inevitable systems, and we can and have done better. Made me really goddamn angry when I read that. Because what this shows is that person is completely and utterly ignorant of the human institutions that have existed from the beginning, from about human psychology and about the fact that we are tribal peoples. We are communal peoples. And when you have communal peoples, you have hierarchies. Now, if you don't believe me, go look at our relatives. Even the bonobos have hierarchies. Yes, they are able to resolve almost all of their problems without violence, but that doesn't mean there aren't hierarchies. And for me, the word hierarchy is simply a tool. It is the most basic tool. It is the lever of politics and technical progress. If you have a lever, you can do more than if you don't have a lever. It's that simple. And if you have a hierarchy, you can do more than if you have a group of people that don't have a hierarchy. It's that simple. Because when you ask questions like, okay, if you want to be an anarchist group, awesome. How do you win wars? There isn't going to be an answer. How do you build the Hoover Dam? There isn't going to be an answer. How do you go to the moon? There isn't going to be an answer. How do you build the interstate highway system? There isn't going to be an answer. How do you build a functioning internet structure or a functioning power grid? There isn't going to be an answer. Because all of those institutions that I have just mentioned require hierarchies to operate. Now, I'm not saying that people should not be willing and able to enter a hierarchy and leave a hierarchy. I'm not saying we should establish like lifelong roles. I'm not a feudalist. But a hierarchy is a lever, plain and simple. And if you think there weren't hierarchies in what is this person goes about? They go 200,000 BCE, 5,000 BCE, 3,100 BCE. If you don't think there weren't hierarchies in those eras, we have records left over from some of those eras. We do. And guess what? They had hierarchies. They had laws. A lot of the time, they were run by religions, which is worse than having, a secular hierarchy. A lot of them were feudal, which is worse than a democratically run hierarchy. A lot of them were just based on social conservatism, which is worse than a social progressive worldview. So you can have good hierarchies and you can have bad hierarchies. Just like you can use a lever to help move a stone and help somebody, or you can use a lever to beat someone to death with. It's the same lever. One way you're using it for a constructive, progressive use, the other, you're committing murder. Same tool. But when I hear people say things like this, we've always had hierarchies. Hell, there was a time when the church had its own goddamn court system. That they could arrest you, throw you into prison, torture you, and execute you. That's a bad hierarchy. But those hierarchies existed prior to the police. Now, I'm not saying we should not reconstruct the police that we have today. We should. Absolutely. And about 90% of what the cops are currently doing, they don't need to be doing. They only need to show up when we need the guy with the gun. And the guy with the gun should be trained in de-escalation before he's trained how to use that gun. Okay? I understand the history of the police is one founded on white nationalism in America. I get that. But I have enough knowledge of history to know that a view that says that humans never had hierarchies, that they were stateless, is complete and utter bullshit. I drop you into the Celtic era, and I can guarantee you are going to figure out who's in charge real damn quick. Because if you don't, you're dead. Because even if it's just you being excluded, you will be left out in the cold to die. Everything that involves more than two people has a hierarchy. I mean, George Carlin was right that, you get more than three people, they start wearing armbands and choosing up sides. That's what we do. But you can have people choosing up sides to work for progressive means and efforts, or those who are trying to do socially conservative and negative things with those hierarchies. So hierarchies aren't bad. Bad hierarchies are bad. But hierarchies in and of themselves, they're just a tool. Plain and simple. They were not created for good reasons. They were not created for bad reasons. They were just created. And we've seen enough examples of bad ones that we can do better. But to think that we never had hierarchies, to think that they haven't always existed from the various earliest points in our genetic, social, and political history, is just showing me you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just a layperson. There are people out there who have a much deeper knowledge of this, who must be absolutely apoplectic when they read things like this. So that's my unpopular opinion for the day, that hierarchy is not a dirty word. A hierarchy is a tool, that we can use it for good or bad. But to think that we always haven't had them is just an act of willful ignorance.